So I got an email from a subscriber a couple of weeks ago. In it, he said that he was struggling with motivation and he wanted some help with it. I know A-levels can be a bitch. Personally, I did the IB, so I know how hard it can get sometimes. To be honest, there's really no secret to staying motivated, and anyone that tells you otherwise is BSing you to get you to click on their video. So that's not what I'm going to do in this video. Rather, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to actually create a revision timetable that you can actually realistically stick to. Because, with the motivation thing, it's just you want motivation to actually get it done, right? So surely by having a good timetable that you can actually stick to, it means you'll get everything done. So motivation and good time management skills is kind of the same thing in this case, at least. Anyways, let's get into it. So if you guys don't know who I am Boyan. I am a first year computer science student at the University of Nottingham. I started this YouTube channel to help young people save more money and live more fulfilling lives, and I make weekly content about uni life, budgeting and self-help. So if that sounds like you, please subscribe for more. So one of my favorite quotes is from a philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche, and that's, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." You need to really find out why you actually want to revise and get the grades that you want, and avoiding being a disappointment to your family really just won't cut it. You need to really do this for your own fulfillment and not for anyone else. Personally, my motivation is that I want to retire early. I'm not saying that university is the only way to go about it, as it definitely is not. It's just something that I actually wanted to pursue, for example, a degree in computer science. But to be honest, the more I attend uni, the more I think that it's really not worth it for the amount that you're actually paying, at least in the UK. Determine the reason that you actually are revising, and if it really is good enough, that will be motivation enough to carry you through all the struggle and the pain and the nights when you actually just don't want to do anything and you want to just collapse on your bed and just watch some TV or whatever. It will get you through that, I promise you. So I'm going to ask you guys to do a favor for me. Leave a like on this video, because what I'm about to tell you is probably the realest advice you're going to get on YouTube. Anyways, before I get into how I actually make my revision timetable, I'm going to go make a smoothie. So I'll see you guys in a little while. So if you guys are curious, I drink 1 or 2 of these a day to supplement my micronutrients at university. I'll make a video on how to stay healthy while partying and drinking a lot as well. That video will probably come out within the next couple of months, depending on when I actually want to upload it or make it. So yeah, subscribe for that. So this is what my timetable looked like for my spring end of module exams. I'll pop it up somewhere on the screen. How I structure my revision is either where I give myself a list of things or a list of topics that I need to cover in that day, or I time block. For the IB and my spring end of module exams, I time blocked into, I believe, half-an-hour time slots, where I gave myself between the hours of of 6 to 9 at night to complete all of my tasks. This is the best advice I can give you when timetabling, right? Are you guys ready? Okay, so it's do not over plan. And what I mean by that is, don't give yourself too much in a day. I wouldn't schedule more than 3 to 4 hours of revision every day. And if you're a GCSE student, I wouldn't even go past the 1 to 2 hour mark, because inevitably you will fall behind and you won't stick to the schedule at all. So by giving yourself an abundance of time, it allows you to, one, catch up, and also it prevents you from stressing yourself out too much, so that you can actually still reset your mind for the next day. As dumb as it sounds, your mind and body operates completely separately. What I mean by that is, have you ever had those days where it's just oh, your mind is telling you, tomorrow is the deadline, I need to complete 3,000 words by 12 PM today, otherwise I'm gonna fall behind. I need to do work. Okay, sit at a computer and then somehow 2 seconds later, you have a sandwich in your mouth and you're watching Netflix. Have you ever had that? Exactly, right? Like this video if you haven't already to support the channel, and if you haven't, please do subscribe as well, as I try to give like the most realistic and doable advice possible. To begin creating a revision schedule, make a list of all the topics for each subject that you do, and highlight the weak areas, color coding them as appropriate. And for each subject, I recommend that you do at least 2 sets of past papers. This is to give you like an idea of like what the exam is gonna be like and how they ask the questions themselves. Now that you have like a list of everything that you need to do, distribute it evenly across all the days in your revision timetable. Now let's review. Ask yourself this: is it too much to handle? If yes, take out some topics that you feel confident in. And then if that is still too much to handle, you think, then I would take out the topics that you don't even think are going to come up on the exam. I know this is a risky move to take, but for my spring end of module exams at university this year, I did take out like a third of the curriculum for like 2 of my modules. This should ensure that you only revise for the areas that you find necessary, and it would also make your timetable very realistic and manageable. Personally, if you're someone like me, I don't recommend timetabling more than 3 to 4 hours of revision every day. I don't really focus past the 3-hour mark anyways, unless like there's some sort of external pressure for me to perform, in which case obviously I'll work for longer hours. But normally if it's just like, oh, there's an exam next week, I would never revise for more than 3 to 4 hours a day. I mean, there were also days where I just like couldn't be bothered to do anything, and I just kind of took the L and rested for that day, and that's perfectly okay, because I'm gonna give you guys a tip on how to combat that. So please do not like beat yourself up mentally over if you can't like stay focused every single day, because that's basically impossible. We're all human, especially if you're a GCSE student. I know like some people during GCSE really felt the pressure to like really do well. But to be honest, you don't need more than 1 or 2 hours of revision a day to do like decently. Obviously, if you're going for like 11 A stars, then like try your ass off. But personally, I didn't revise at all except for one subject where I didn't actually have a teacher for year 11, and that was biology. But I digress. Anyways, I still did okay. I'll pop up the grades that I got on screen, so you know, like, it's not too bad, it's like acceptable, but obviously if I tried, I would have done better. Now that you have a revision timetable laid out, I would now find some time every day to create like a buffer space. What I mean by that is, either you can take the approach of like eliminating 2 days worth of revision, or like maybe even more if your revision timetable spans for a longer duration of time. Or if you started your revision way too late, for example, you have exams next week and you only started revision this week, I would give myself 1 to 2 hours before I go to bed every day to either use that as just like free time and relax guilt-free, or use that as like a buffer space. Now, what I mean by buffer spaces where I set time to allow myself to catch up on missed work. As we are all human, we can't stick to the timetable like hour for hour, second for second, because something just might come up during the day where you can't revise, right? So having a buffer space is like really, in my opinion, the key to success, because with it means that you won't fall behind even if you miss a couple of time blocks. Just a warning, if you don't do this, you will not end up revising everything that you plan to revise on your timetable. That's just not going to happen. It's in human nature to be lazy and procrastinate, and unless you're someone like David Goggins or something, like, you just don't have the discipline for it. So I really, really, really recommend that you have like ample buffer space for yourself. So that's my advice on how to create the perfect, doable, manageable and efficient revision timetable. I hope you guys found that information useful. As always, let me know in the comments below what revision strategies you personally use. Like this video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more like self-help videos, and also thank you to Isabella, Bolu, Olivia, Unruly, Hader and Moran for subscribing. I forgot to like shout you guys out last video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I have 51 subscribers now. It feels weird. Like, it feels like I actually have a small audience. I'll see you guys all next week at 6 PM on Wednesday.